Hello, and welcome to Guys Dealings with Feelings, a podcast focused on men's health and emotional awareness. Jason's a licensed therapist with over 19 years of experience, and I, being profoundly affected by the death of my son, share grounded conversations and practical insights to help men navigate modern life with clarity and intention. Morning, Jason. How you doing?
Good. Yeah.
So today
good.
we're gonna tackle purpose versus achievement, and why success alone never feels like it's enough. And from the time we were kids, we're taught to chase achievement, get the grades, get the job, get the house, make more money, climb the ladder. But I think a lot of us discover that reaching the goal doesn't create lasting fulfillment. And we often hear influencers, et cetera, people who have succeeded talk about the goal isn't the real meat or juice. The real juice comes from the work that it takes to achieve the goal. And I stand by that as well. It's life is the journey, it's not about the achievements. You know, we will get to them and it'll feel good or whatever. We got to keep moving. We'll talk today about how the goalposts continue to move for us and why. So we're going to explore the difference between achievement and purpose. Achievement builds an impressive life on the outside, but purpose is going to give us a meaningful life on the inside. So achievement is an event, purpose is a directions. We shoot for an achievement, we lead and drive with purpose. Achievement is going to have a finish line. Purpose is just a continual thing. Goals provide us motivation and kind of a direction, a map. Purpose gives us the meaning. We don't want to make our identity linked to the achievements and dependent upon the accomplishments, because there's the juice isn't there. That's not where the real takeaway is from when we get to a goal. It's about all the hard shit we did leading up to it. And I think our purpose drives that. And if we understand the differences and we're not, just shooting to make the money or buy the house or get the car or the boat or whatever the fuck it is that we've got in our head that's going to make us feel like we've gotten what we want, those things aren't going to get us there, and they're not going to get us the happiness that we're shooting for. And I think when you make it there and you buy something, it feels good for a second, but it was just because you reached the end. It's, you made it to Florida or whatever, but eventually you got to go back home and do something else. And so purpose kind of drives that, in my opinion. And
I'm turning my air down. Oh, hold on real quick. Let me turn my better. There we go. I have my fans on full blast. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think, we lead with purpose, and that's what fulfills us. And I think our purpose is found during the exploration we talk a lot about. After you bounce off rock bottom, after you figure out you want to make changes, after you've put a lot of the things we've discussed in place, I think then we find purpose. And I think purpose is some type of fundamental instinctual thing for humans. At least it has become that way. I know when they're talking about AI, they talk about how humans will lose purpose when they lose work. To say it shortly, there's obviously, they go on and on and on about it. But, what do we do now that there's a robot doing everything or computers doing everything? And so purpose is something kind of innate in this. And I don't know if it's just the drive to keep us fed and watered. Where it comes from, maybe you can shed some light on that for us.
Yeah. I started, I guess the way that I approach it is the way I approach everything. We're using two words. And one of those words is achievement, right? So that sounds like acquiring something, or like, you know what I mean?
Finish line.
It's obtained something. But give me some examples.
So
what do we typically try to quote unquote achieve?
I want to purchase a house.
Why?
Well, I think that's a lot of answers to that. I've been told to buy one, and it may not even be buy a house, but get a house, or rent it or buy it. And it's, I've been told that I need that. I obviously need a place to lay my head. I need to not live with my parents or my friends. And I think that protection or shelter is one of the
Safety.
safety. It gives us a lot of safety and can eliminate some fear.
I mean, I think that we hit on the most important word, safety. So most of us, right? We don't. So the magnitude of our experience, it's just it doesn't land on. It's hard for it to land for us, right? Okay, so just in general, the idea that anything exists at all is pretty mind bending. Where did anything come from? At all? How does anything at all come into it? It's like it's mind bending. I mean, anything. Well, where did it come from? How does anything come? How did anything happen? It's mind blowing, right? Which is meant to be. The question is. Uh, so, at the core of what we're talking about relates to us being the purpose. We are the purpose of this existence, but we have to come into a relationship with ourself that contains awe and curiosity. Because how are we existing? Yeah, the literal fact that we exist is the purpose. That's why these two words are typically confused. Because we relate to ourselves in a very limited way through thought and through what we've been conditioned, how we've been conditioned to relate to ourselves and to the world and to everything, really, right? And so, sure, we have these goals and ideas around collecting things, a new job, relationship, house, I don't, which seem to be primarily related to connection and safety. Except the difficulty is none of those things will actually provide the permanent sense of peace that we imagine that they will, because we live in an environment that constantly changes. So there's actually no just resting place that we'll find. And so what we're actually trying to achieve is some totally safe, comfortable space that lacks difficulty, you know. But we don't know we're sort of trying to do that.
And aren't we the goalposts continue to move? You don't just buy a house and say, okay, great, I got this house. This is it for the rest of my life. The safety box is checked. I've got the four walls and the roof to protect me from the weather and the animals. But then I want a bigger house, and it is so much. We got social comparison, which is at its worst time in history right now, uh, with all the social media and
Yeah.
constant comparing. So are we not being? There's something in us that is wanting to, and I know some of it's conditioning. We need a workforce, and so you want to drive people to want to make more money so they can buy more stuff, so they'll go do more work. But what beyond that is it that's driving us? So once I've obtained the house and I have the transportation, you know, it's food instinctively, but then it's the thinking that comes in and really drives or draws us in. I don't know if drives us is the appropriate word, but I want to be careful too, because some of us, achievements aren't bad. I don't think I'm suggesting that they're bad. It's just, that's not what we're going to seek. We're not going to find happiness there. Um, you know, there could be results of the achievement that create happiness. Say the achievement was to start a, trauma retreat center, and you get the trauma retreat center going. That's the goal. Doesn't give me happiness or satisfaction, but all the people who come through there and get healed do, or get some healing, that would be. So achievements can create happiness. I'm not saying they can't, but that's purpose. And it's the purpose that drove the goal that was the achievement that then had the results that helped. But the purpose is what I think drives through the achievement. So I have the purpose to take care of my family. Therefore I want to buy a house. I buy the house. Okay, but now I'm not happy with this house because it's only got one bathroom and we need two bathrooms. And so I'm want another house. And then I get that house and it's only got three bathrooms and I need seven bathrooms. And it just it won't ever stop. But the original purpose was safety and taking care of your family, right? Where we get derailed, is it completely a societal thing that derails us on that, or is it misuse of our drive and purpose that gets us to
Yeah,
this?
it's like it's just a confusion is the way that I would describe it. So, uh, the things are not, you know, so I think, this life in this world is abundant. Like abundance is the nature of things, just by definition. Um, the problem, the problem comes from how does the character relate to what's going on in their whole experience? Like, what is the point? What is the context? What are you doing here? Do you know what I mean? And there's a statement that reflects what I'm trying to articulate, and I think it's actually the statement that's on my Instagram page. It says, "You are the happiness that you seek," and it's reflecting um, the nature of this experience for all of us. Don't matter who it is, and the nature of the experience is that we come here, get a name. We go through this Ram Dass, this character Ram Dass would call it somebody training. You know, we're uh, sort of taught uh, explicitly and implicitly what we are, who you are, how you got here, right? In this whole experience, how the world got here, what's going on. But we're not really giving clarity about that. Like we're just giving confusion. It's like, oh, well, there's some different, you can just find whatever idea works for you. It's really kind of insanity, you know? And so our experience is characterized primarily for most of, until it's not, right? By full of thought, full of this character, the past and the future, and the character's opinions, and like it's full of the self that's not satisfied and just terrified, you know, little voice in our head. And what that actually reflects is what it just means mechanically is that we identify with that character. We don't relate to ourselves in you say cosmic way. It's not how we relate to ourselves uh, and the situation that we're in, really. And so, for a long time, it's been known to humans essentially that the purpose was to find out who you are on a deeper level. Like, that's the purpose for this experience. It's not for collecting things. And the things you collect depend that all just depends on your relationship to the things that are coming into your life or going out of your life, which things tend to do, right? Relationships, money, cars, clothes, ideas, perspectives. You know what I'm saying? It comes and goes. And what we're actually looking for is we're looking for like a stable position, but that's an internal uh, idea. That's an internal idea. That's being able to be stabilized in the space internally and not always attending to this nonsense.
It, can you draw a parallel connection, whatever term we want to use, to the statement you just made? A purpose being about self figuring out and all that, and B the last part with the interaction with self, linking that to, and I don't want to reuse the word purpose, but drive or whatever and the
I got
satisfaction that
you.
comes
Yeah,
from helping
amen,
others.
amen. So yeah, right. So meaning being of service to the things
Right,
around you,
right, right, right.
rather than
How that.
taking. Uh, yeah. So here, right. So if when we're talking about these two words, typically when we talk about motivation, we're actually talking about our ability to navigate discomfort at its core. What the word motivation is reflecting is our nervous system's capacity to move under pressure, to respond to pressure. You see what I mean by that? It's our relationship to discomfort at an energetic level. And so that's a nervous system thing that directly ties into our lack of relationship with feeling, lack of processing the past, and our nervous system chronically being overloaded and overwhelmed by our imagination all the time, chronically. And so essentially, what our purpose becomes is trying to deal with that mind, trying to be comfortable. And so what we're actually looking for is a sense of agency, energy, vitality in navigating all the sticky things that are a part of this very gritty experience, you know. Uh, so again, purpose is not won't be found in like a title or that's what we're actually like when we're referring to purpose, we're just referring to discipline, essentially. Like you know, drive being able to move towards something even when it's not easy, right?
Mhm.
Now, I would say that's the one of the major reasons we have difficulty with that is that we just have no nervous system knowledge and understanding really. And then we're moving with expectations that we're not aware of. And so even when we get the thing or it doesn't uh, affect us in the way we imagine, right? Because that's just temporary. So, like the deeper essence of purpose is specifically related to a process that allows us to come into a deeper understanding of self. Because then you're in a deeper relationship with this thing that actually exists, and it shouldn't make any sense. Like, how the fuck is it even happening? Uh, and so you get to dance in that mystery.
Well, and then draw the parallel to why the service is so fulfilling and rewarding
I got it.
to.
Because when you're not moving through life under the influence of this dissatisfied character that is always resisting life, always imagining that it's going to be better some other time and other place, right? That is all you're in service of, whether you know it or not. You're in service of that character. And so essentially the way that you move through we move through life is like it's from a sense of lack, right?
Mhm.
And then once we return to ourself and our interiority, and then that's what we're full of, our own experience, the truth of our experience. We're full of that. Now, what naturally occurs is we start moving out to be more of service. It's a natural, that's how we are natural. It's because it's what's natural. That's what we are at our core. We're good, loving. We are love. The part of the gaslighting here is that we're made of sin. That's gaslighting. That's the one of the deepest forms of gaslighting this planet has ever received. We're made of sin. Stay out of the body. The mind is that the boredom is the devil's playground. Blah 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 blah. It's insanity.
So
That's
there's
pretty
a
blunt.
connection. Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
no, that's
you
fine.
know, it's okay.
You're not going to get pushed back from me on that.
It's just
So,
what it is, man.
well, and I think that so much of our journey and experience is driven by relationships and in the abs for most of us, there is definitely a portion of the population who drive and thrive outside of community, and that's okay, but it's more of an anomaly than the rule. The rule is that relationships, community, etc., are the experience. That is sharing our self with others and vice versa. That's a big driver for us as humans. And that's really where I think we make our legacy is the impact that, the lives we touch, not the trophies we collect, right? Not how big the house is, but how many people did you
Yeah,
positively impact?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but there might be a character that is in the woods surviving without other bodies around it, but it is absolutely not outside of community. It's in community with the mycelia, the trees, the
Yeah, nature.
water, the land, God. I mean, that's how I refer to nature. Nature is God, you know? So there's no such thing as being outside of the cosmic community. That's an impossibility. Now, there might not be bodies around.
Human community, I should have
Yeah,
stated,
but
because
it's
you're
just
right in
not
the
something we
natural.
think about that way.
Yeah, well, the natural connection. I've
As humans,
long touted how healing it is.
where we are collectively, it's been this way for all of us for as long as we know. And then the history that we've given it includes this as well. We were given this idea that we're alone in the universe. It appears that way. And so that as a species, we feel very isolated actually from everything. Like we feel disconnected, separate from each other, nature, the universe, and right? And none of that's true. It just appears that way to us. You know,
And feels that way a lot of
it
times.
feels that way. Period. Yeah, like that is the essence of what it feels like for us. We feel like separate individuals. We're the thoughts in our head, and we are this body. And we're separate from everything outside of us. And I know it's mind blowing. It's just that that's not actually how things work. It's not the truth, right? It's just that we've grown up in a situation where, I mean, it's actually like atheistic, materialistic, agnostic, and agnosticism is pride masked. It's the idea that this little mind can sort of actually grasp infinite intelligence. It's just how we've been conditioned to.
That's funny you say that about agnosticism, because in my agnosticism, I see it as a lack of ability to grasp, prove, figure out. And so I drive forward with that as just a
Yeah, right.
unknown. It's an unknown versus
I got it. And that's untrue.
atheism. I think is
Yeah.
atheism. I would define as what
Well,
as
that form of agnosticism is also untrue. It's just that it is true that the truth is not, you could say, a rational process. It's a much deeper. It comes from a much deeper place.
well, and it's been beyond the scope of my understanding for a long time. I think a lot of people are in that position. They've been spoon fed some shit that they've may have eaten and call it a connection. But the like you said, nature has been the biggest guide for me and connector for me to get me to the point of understanding that it's damn near impossible that it's by happenstance that this has all occurred. And
You know what happens too eventually. I'm just describing what's potential for us. This isn't like an opinion. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not literally not about to express an opinion. Okay. You don't actually experience nature. There's no such thing. It's God. It's you. We're made of God. We're made of it. That's all it is. We can experience beauty, awe, wonder. Right? Those are the things we experience as a soul. We're not experiencing nature. I know that's a radical, and it may seem like semantics. It's not to me because the actual lived experience when that sense of separation falls around is that you actually see yourself in everything. Everything becomes sacred. Everything has reverence. Insects, it doesn't matter. Everything has a purpose. Everything is serves its function. Everything. And you see yourself in it because it's all energy. And when we only relate to ourselves as thought, we are literally unfamiliar with the truth of energy. Technical sort of statement, but that's mechanically how it works for us.
I understand it. I'm not saying I live it, but I understand
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
there is a connection, I
Yeah.
experience whatever words we're going to use
Yeah.
in nature.
Amen.
When you're there,
Yeah.
you connect to it. And that's what you're talking about when you say you can see yourself in it.
The way I would say it is it takes you out of self.
Yeah. And you don't feel as isolated. And I think that, and when you say takes you out of self, you mean in the bad, like the takes you out of thought and thinking and all
Yeah.
that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Not the connections. So that's been, like I said, a big compass for me because it's
Yeah.
unfathomable what's happening around us at all times. Like we can't fucking understand it. We have made a lot. We
That's
know a
why
lot
it's
more than
there.
Neanderthals. Yeah, we know a lot more than Neanderthals did, but we still don't know a lot. And we can't explain much. Again, a lot more than Neanderthals. But with all the things we've learned, just a quick side note, I think we would say that modern medicine is big key of modern medicine would be how we extended our lives. But the vast majority of the extension of life that it took us from 38 to the 70s, so 70s range, so about doubled our lifespan. There's two of them, and it's hand washing, which was a massive one, and the second was antibiotics. And so all we figured out in life, um, heart surgeries and replacements and brains and all this shit that we figured out, bracing and breakings and all that. Um, Turns out we just wash our hands, and then the antibiotics not a small feat, but they've been around a long ass time. And so we think we know so much, and we do as a community. If you said how much did you know in 1930, and then how much do you know in 2026, the libraries have more books in them, more up-to-date books. Some books have been proven, disproven. Others have been affirmed. But we just as a species don't know so much, and it's overwhelming to try to take all this shit in. But to your point, maybe we don't experience nature, but we definitely have a connection to it. And it pulls all of these things that I'm talking about right now, this pompous, cocky attitude out of us. Like we know so much in this, that, and because we got a fucking airplane flying or a spaceship going. We're so bright, right? Like we are amazing. And I think that when you stand next to the rocks in Sedona, the biggest part of when I tripped to Sedona was the humbling experience of being out in nature and experiencing those massive natural
Yeah.
things,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
rocks or whatever, and that is so
It's mind
humbling.
blowing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's humbling. It just lets you know that rock has been there for so fucking long, and we are a mere blip on the radar. We look at a dog's life and how short it is, and I think
And
there's a
that's that. And let me interject for a second because what we eventually discovered is we're not a blip on the. It does not humble us to experience God. So the reason I say that it's not nature, it's God, but it's because that again reflects the idea that we're separate from what we're looking at. That's been here a long time, and I just I've been here 43 years. That's not how it works. Uh, all mammals have an orientation towards expanding their territory and reaching new resources. So the fact that we make spaceships and try to go shit, that doesn't, it's like, it's actually not that novel. Ants do that shit, Um, but we're more than mammals. That's the point. And all the spiritual traditions, all the wisdom traditions speak to that truth. And some have more clear information on how to make that discovery that you're more than a mammal, you're more than a human. That is not to devalue Cupid or this gritty, beautiful experience. The discovery of being more than human is actually what allows one to be in this experience more fully and without fear. It's very paradoxical. The transcendence of the idea of this I'm simply human actually puts one deeper into this human experience, into the truth, into the grit. But there's less squeezing. You see what I mean? There's a movement through this life with more of with palms open, like with a flow, because that's what this place is. Come and go, come and go.
Well, yeah, and it is. It's come and go for so many
I hear you. I
of
hear you.
the characters. And it's what we recall, I guess. I don't recall the energy before and after.
Like
all
I
I can recall is
appreciate
this.
the idea of you don't have to recall any the idea of it like humbling something. Like that's fine. It's just there's a subtext there that often goes missing. That I'm different than that rock, right? Now that is only there at the level of appearance. Everything is movement. Like that rock isn't solid as it looks. You see what I mean by that? You know, what we call science, it will say that. Oh yeah, sure, sure, sure. You know, there's space and blah blah blah. You know, you see what I'm saying? So like, it's
Mhm.
not as it appears. So in
Yeah,
reality, it's not
that part's
different than
fucking
you.
that part's mind bending.
Yes, that and so so the purpose, if there is what, and I wouldn't use that word, or I would say it's advantageous. It's advantageous here to understand that it is very important to learn what it means to experience life outside of thought. It is vital, crucial.
And I think that
You could say that's the
and that
point. That's a little prescriptive.
yeah,
I like saying
I
it's
think
advantageous.
the thought part is what drives us to being so connected to the titles that we've given ourselves, society's given us, even if that's parent, child, sibling, friend, partner, whatever. And then we link all of our identity to that, the achievements to that, those titles. Have I achieved enough as a father, as an employee, as a partner? And then we can dilute our experience in it, and then we get in this fucking tornado of thought, and then we just stay there. And it's spun up in us from the time we come out of the womb until we can figure it out. And I have yet to figure it out. So I think that getting that part is massive and then that drives us more to the community's part. When I say community, I mean relationships with other humans and connections, etc. And then we can kind of feel more fulfilled through our drive and I don't want to use the word purpose, through our drive and motivation. And it's not to gain stuff and trophies, it's to help expand on that which we've figured out. And, achievement does have value and but it's not meant to define us. Purpose is going to give meaning to the work, the direction, the struggle, and significance to the life we're building. So don't ask, what do I achieve next? It's who am I becoming while I pursue it. And that, so I think one of my goals was to get back to a sense of normal feeling or finding a happy place in this whole journey. And while it has felt good to find um, calm and comfort and peace, that has been very rewarding. The journey getting to that was so full of information and just learning. And so it's really that changes the individual, and in that change, what we're calling purpose today is modified and morphed into our compass that then would, to what we've talked about before, that then leads to service of others and, sharing what we've learned, etc. So anywho, that's it for today. And
Well,
if you enjoyed this
let me
yeah.
hold on real quick before we go a little bit further, because it's really important. There's actually a sentiment that I've witnessed can be a really big part of the spiritual, and there'll be this idea that like real healing takes place in community, like in relationship, right? Okay, that's fine. But that is just very prescriptive, right? So, like I said, at all times, every one of us is in a relationship with everything. At all times, every blade of grass, every everything. We don't know that. I'm not saying I walk around it, but that's the truth of the way this experience is for us. That's the truth. So we're always in a relationship. We're always in an evolving relationship with ourselves. That's the reality here. There are many beings that are wide awake, hearts open, emanating love and unconditional love for everything that they're around, right? But they also might live alone in a cottage or with just their partner, and they just might garden all the time. They're not inspired to go and get involved in a ton of human. That's okay. The fact that they're connected to everything, we all are. If we work on that agitation, we're doing it for everybody. That's the way it works. And so it's not exactly true that it just all that healing and what emerges in that process always leads to being inspired to going and uh working with people. It may not include that. You know what I'm trying to say? But it
Mm-hmm.
can. The fact that as you move through life and there's not an orientation towards taking approval, taking attention, taking, right? And that you're full, your cup runneth over. Everywhere you go, you're comfortable, you feel good. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's affecting everywhere you go, affecting everything at all times. It just appears to us that we're isolated, disconnected. So working on this in our interiority, you could say, is beneficial for everybody.
So you're sharing it without
Yeah, yeah,
consciously sharing it.
yeah.
That's so you still
Naturally
are
sharing it.
serving. Yeah, you still
Yeah,
are of service. You're still doing your part. You may not do it by writing a book or a podcast. I understand the
yeah,
point, but
yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah,
still
yeah,
being of service to others.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think you know and feel that.
yeah. Amen.
And instead of
Because
just
you're
being
more
at home,
patient,
yeah, instead of
you're
being at
more
home gardening all the
present,
time, and whenever you
patient.
go out, yeah, you're an asshole. You're not. You're patient and you're calm and you're a positive force versus a negative, or charge versus a negative charge. So
Yeah, that's a
if
good
you
way to say it.
So to wrap this up, if you enjoyed this podcast, please like, follow, and share wherever you're listening or watching. Doing so helps us reach more men who can be positively impacted by our material. You can find us at Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast, and under the socials under Guys Dealings with Feelings. And as always, thank you for giving us your time, your most valuable asset. Until next time, stay in the fight. This world is a much better place with you in it.